All right. Mr. Fodio, are you ready on the Houlihan matter?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. And is Mr. Houlihan on the Zoom?
Here as he is.
Yep.
All right. So, Mr. Houlihan, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thanks for hooking up with us today, Mr. Fodio and Mr. Houlihan, regarding this case. It's D20-01410FY. Today's the actual sentencing after you pled no contest to over 200 under 1,000. If there's anything you can think of that you want to say, Mr. Houlihan, you'll be able to. First, Mr. Fodio is going to speak. Mr. Fodio, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I just want to point out this is Mr. Houlihan's first criminal incident. Never been arrested before. I know he regrets it. He's got 2 children he's raising. I think he told me he was making every effort to get the restitution together. I don't know if he has or not. So I just ask that you consider his lack of prior criminal history. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Houlihan, can you think of anything that you want to say?
I'd just like to apologize for any harm that I have caused.
Okay. When you look back on this case, it's kind of a head scratcher. Because if you would have just done the right thing, we never would be talking right now. And when you saw the phone and during your work shift you pick it up, the fact that you don't turn it in, the fact that you don't give it to security, the fact that you don't take it to your HR department or wherever, it is so basic. So the intentions that you have are muddled. We can't really figure it out except for what you tell us. The phone didn't work, you threw it away. Okay, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense if you're working in the store that you'd see that, take it wherever you're leaving, go home, throw it away. I mean, it just has suspect written all over it, that your intentions were different than what you're now describing. And okay, really, I don't know all of the facts. I'll never really know all of the facts. You know way more, and you have to live with whatever that is. If this was a really series of poor decisions on your part, and I'm not making you out that you're a thief, breaking into someone's locker, going to some place and taking something. It was taking advantage of somebody's misfortune of leaving their phone behind, and then you trying to take advantage of it. That's what it appears to be. When you describe that you just threw it out, doesn't really make sense. And when you talk about worried about COVID, or that if you're picking up someone else's property, you didn't want to give it to somebody else, really, again, doesn't make sense. Because you wouldn't take it in the first place. You just called, whatever, authorities, security. I mean, people leave stuff in stores all the time. They forget their purse. A lady will put their purse down, or they put their phone down, or they put the car keys down, or whatever. But the scenario that's portrayed with this, I gotta tell you, it just looks bad on your part. Now, if it was a bad day, or you just made, like I said, a series of poor decisions, learn from it and move on. I don't think this one incident defines your entire character as a person, particularly with Mr. Fodio saying you have no criminal record in the past. But you have, I think, I don't know you, but I really believe you are so much smarter than how this thing went down. You're so much smarter than that. And of course, it calls into question why you didn't act smarter. But in the future, we hope you do. The reason they said the amount is because the phone is expensive. Those phones are expensive. There's no question about it. The restitution for the phone alone is $744, $744. It's a $300 fine. It's non-reporting probation. I'm not going to have you come in. I'm not going to have you call in. I'm not going to have you connect with our probation department. And honestly, I'm not giving you community service. I suspend the entire jail sentence, which this larceny over 200, under 1,000 is a 1-year suspended jail sentence. You get credit for 3 days out of 11 months and 27 that are held over your head. The $300 fine is as minimal as I go on that. $180 fee is the probation non-reporting, $30 a month times 6. $75 crime victims' right fee for a total fines and court costs of $555, plus the $744, which is the restitution. Total is $1,299. So talk about turning a series of bad decisions into expensive costs. It's not a felony, and the felony gets dismissed, and that's huge. It really is huge, and Mr. Fodio did a fine job in that regard. But I say it again, without even knowing you, Mr. Houlihan, you're so much smarter than how you acted during the course of this incident. And in the end, you didn't get to keep your job. Fair?
Thank you, Your Honor.
So when you didn't get to keep your job, that had to be quite inconvenient. Are you back to working now?
Doing a bathroom remodel, kitchen bathroom
Yeah.
remodel.
So some side jobs with construction?
Yeah, nothing like my old job.
No. Well, you got to get back on the horse and figure out what you're going to do, because you can't let this dictate the rest of your plans.
That's
$1,299. If you have questions, you can contact Mr. Fodio or the court. They'll be in contact with you about setting up the payment plan. I'd like to focus on the restitution first. Just get started. They'll contact you from the court.
Okay,
Is
well,
the address you're at still the Clark Street in Sparta?
in Sparta, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fodio, can you think of any other questions you might have?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Houlihan, for hooking up this morning on video on the Zoom with Mr.